here today. I am sorry the past few times we've not been able to do this on time, but we're going to be showing off this week another draw from a character or a requested OC. Today's is been by Konamel off of Instagram. Made the request for me to draw their original character. So that is what we're going to be doing today. And I'm just going to go ahead and start us out straight into the V draw. And as per usual, let me actually open one more thing. As per usual, we will be doing a sponsored read at the end of the video. So let's get on with the drawing. Okay. So now we have our character sketch kind of out here. And if you want to see what the character originally looks like that they had sent me to work from, here, well, there it is. Let's do edit, transform, scale. And this is their original character. It's actually pretty nicely done. I like what they've done here. It's kind of an interesting background done, but it is a lovely character drawing, and it's going to be interesting things to need to remember when doing this is she's got her hair tied back in the back. She's got this poofy dress and this little sort of cape-like front to our top here. So we need to remember that when we're drawing it. And I've already done a sketch here. I'm going to just go ahead and apply that, but I'm going to turn her off temporarily. So I've already taken care of a few things here and doing the structural part. Now, this is only a step from doing the bare bones, and probably when I do an original version of my own characters in one of these weeks, I will go through from scratch on how to do the full thing. But for right now, we're going to try and get this going. So I'm going to take the sketch I've made, and I actually see I must have done some on another layer here. Let's see. Yep. Nope. Undo. Okay, I did 2 layers of sketches, it looks like. All right. So we're going to put that down there as well. I'm going to go ahead and fade that. I'm going to fade this in the background, and we'll bring up our working layer. So I'm going to start, since we've got this cape thing, or this cape-like top, I'm going to start with her neck. And work on the cape part first, as it will kind of come into play as how the whole structure will be. This dress is quite elaborate, but at the same time very simple and lovely, in my opinion. Nicely done. I believe that the person putting the request did it themselves, because I am with a lot of art groups. But at the same time, I don't know if they commissioned it or not, but it was nicely done. Whoever put the effort into it is well done. Drawing. So we're just going to try and do a bit more of this cape. And it's got kind of an interesting, it's a cape, but I can't tell if it's in multiple pieces or if it's just sort of, all right, maybe it's kind of set up like we would with a tennis skirt or a cheerleader skirt. do her chin here. And her nose. Try to do her eyes some justice here. She's got some thick eyelashes apparently on the top. Just a thin layer down below. Some prominent eyes, but it's got this stylized sort of cat eye look to it. And that's one of the things I talked about before, is when you design a character, you want to have a unique kind of look to them. And this character definitely has a unique look. She's very established as far as her look. I could tell different things about her through the way she kind of comes off. Maybe she's a little bit shy from the look that she gives off. Let's see. Let me check her hair a bit here. I think it's supposed to be bangs that are individually going. So let's do. The hair is going to be the big challenge on this character because I don't really like the way those hooks are coming out of how this character works. Her hair is very much her personality, part of her personality. And that is something you want to get right. And so I'm having some difficulty with the bangs. So we want to try and establish. Let's go this way, swoop, swoop. Swoop. And this is where that sort of tied up hair, tied back, tied up hair comes into play right about the ear. So we want to kind of give that personality. Let's erase that. So we give it a little bit of a personality there. Now her eyebrows are like that. And she's got sort of dignified eyebrows. Actually, I don't want to do that with her nose. Let's do a little bit of a downward button to it. Not too much. While he has her sad, I'm going to give her a little bit of a smile this time around. So let's see if we can do a little bit of her lips. eyes are striking. So we're going to be doing that with her eyes. We're not going to go with the dark sort of take there. Of course, being a lady, she'd have a little bit of a neck, a little clavicle there. This character definitely has the aura of being a bit dignified. Definitely takes care of herself to look beautiful. Let's fix those lips a bit. Now, one difference that you'll see a lot of people do is they'll change brush tips, and I think I've gone over this a bit before in another video. I do not actually change tips while I'm drawing. I use the same tip to try and get an even look throughout with the character. Now, if I'm going to do a different character, say in the background or something, then I might change the size of the tip. And the reason being there is that's when you want that line difference. But when you're doing a character, you kind of want a uniformity to their line work. Be it sort of these dark flat lines, or being, if you say, wanted to do a color version of lines or a color outline of a character. This character actually used original drawing is very thin layers or thin lined drawing. I'm doing it definitely much more thicker. They're doing this with the arm. As I said, this was a request through Instagram. So if you have a request, you can request it through any function. This one was done through Instagram. The individual approached me through messaging and asked me to draw their character. Lo and behold, this is what's happening. I'm drawing their character now. So if you have a request that you want to see in a future one of these videos, then by all means make that request, and I will be more than happy to add it to the stream lineup. Doesn't have to be through Instagram, can be through any one of the setups. I know a lot of people have been watching these videos on Facebook. By all means, go on Facebook. You just have to message me. You can do it on Embry Arts, or you can do it through my own website or my own profile, and you can do it there. Or you can do it if you're watching this on YouTube or through another means. Let me know and message me, and I'll be happy to add it. It looks like she has I want to say, sort of curled dress or flatline dress there. So you have your A-line, which is your peak downward, your curved, which is your typical sort of t-shirt cut, and then you have the sort of flat cut, and this is more, it looks like a flat cut with her dress. I can't tell too much because the picture's kind of limiting it there, but she definitely has some sort of curve there, or flat there. And I apologize if my voice sounds raspy. I've been getting over something. I'm not sure what, but it's been kind of why I've been avoiding doing too many videos in the last few weeks and few days is I've been catching stuff, particularly very bad bugs. So if you're one of my patrons, I apologize for not doing a streaming video after announcing that I would be doing streaming videos every week. Unfortunately, as you can hear, my voice is almost gone right now, and I am trying to regain it. But we wanted to do this. We wanted to make sure we got our video in this week on time, and so we are. Now, this is an apron, so I definitely want to get the apron going. And we're just being sort of free-formed with this. Most people may go into more detail. They may spend more time trying to figure out, hey, I want the dress and apron to look like this. I'm not going to freelance this or freehand it. I just want it to look sort of this way. In my case, I'm just going to freehand. This is a sort of quick, these are supposed to be quick little drawing videos. Even though they're an hour or so, last few have been an hour or so, these are supposed to be a little bit shorter. But we'll do what we can. So let's see here. I wanted to have her grabbing her dress a little bit. And sort of swaying it. Now her dress is going to be about, let's see, go down to about, actually let's go over here and down a little bit here, about to there. And actually, I'll do the apron out a little bit there. Not afraid to mess up, because messing up is all part of the job. You're gonna screw up. You just need to make sure that you correct your mistakes, acknowledge your mistakes, keep moving. All right. She has sort of these, she doesn't have any stockings, but she has sort of these cut boots. So we want to note where those are going to start. This is going to be the end of one. And we'll do her leg right there. And with the cut boot, she's kind of got this set. All right. We'll go around a little bit, give it a little bit of depth. And that's one of the keys when you're doing a shoe, doing a foot. A lot of people will try and do sort of a shoe around the foot. So they'll draw the basic of the foot and they'll draw a shoe that fits the base of the foot. And that's sort of what you see here. Originally her shoe, we're going to add a little bit more depth to it. So the heel is on here. Let's see, she doesn't have big heels. I think she just has small. Yeah, she has small heels. We're going to add a bit of depth here. Well, a little too much. And one way to improve doing shoes, doing sort of the feet, is just one, to always draw them, but two, give some detail into them. Try to not make them look like just something that is a drawing on a foot. To be basically where you draw something and you're like, oh, well, here's the foot, and then you just kind of put laces on it or something. Try to actually look at a shoe. I mean, honestly, most of you should have shoes. I would hope you have shoes. If you don't, I'm sorry, you're missing either a foot or you just can't afford shoes. But it's important to sort of try and use a shoe for reference. Sure, you could have something like a ballet slipper, but tennis shoes themselves, each kind of tennis shoe has a characteristic. Each kind of boot has a characteristic. And it's not just like sleeves or whatnot. If I were to draw my own tennis shoes right now, while they're slip-ons, they'd be something like this. They have a little thing over here that goes straight down the shoe. They come around like this, like this. It's very plain and boring looking shoe. But then, of course, they're Nikes, so they get the little swoosh. But doing something that's similar, and it'd be a very black line here. Just taking some time and practicing something like that, doing something like that, helps train you. And I mean, it's just as important as it is to understand how your character looks in the face or in their build. It's also important to understand how your character dresses, what they wear, what kind of personality they have. And I went into this a bit when I did the Demon Blade cover about 2 weeks ago. When you draw characters, you have, especially when you go into a comic book series, you draw a character that you have a very strong feeling and personality, and you try and show that through how they dress, because that's how you dress, that's how you act. You're going to have a personality to how you dress and how you react to people, how you look. You'll wear your hair a certain way. Your character is going to do the same thing. And it's important to note of that. So in this case, we have a very stylized, sort of almost romantic looking princess look to this character. Almost say she kind of reminds me of Zelda in the Twilight, or not the Twilight Princess, in the Ocarina of Time. Um, so, I mean, that sort of nice, simplistic farm girl, the medieval, I'd almost say less medieval, more almost revolutionary, kind of a little bit of gypsy look in here. If you look in the way Disney drew Esmeralda back in the Hunchback of Notre Dame, which personally is only good for the villain. Um, I will say that the movie is bad in every sense except for the villain. But then I wasn't expecting much because it was Disney doing Victor Hugo, and Victor Hugo's not really family friendly. Um, they did what they could. I can't blame Disney for what they did with it. But yeah, it was not a good idea to go, hey, you know what'll work great for Disney? Hunchback of Notre Dame. Yeah, yeah. The book is not well intended for child audiences. Um, Considering it's about, well, genocide in a sense, lust and genocide. And this is where we're really going to be putting effort in because we got to do her hair. I keep sort of stretching it out, but I don't want to stretch out the look too much. I want to get some life into this hair. And like I said last time, if you are on either of the systems, I apologize. I still don't have a way to see if anybody's leaving a chat or messaging anything. I do appreciate what you're saying. I will come back to you in my off time and respond. But as of right now, I have no means to know if you are chatting with me or not. More so since I don't have my headphones on today, so I really don't know. Let's do a little bit more with her hair. Okay, and let's do some more with her face here. Let's do, that's too much there. Let's just add a little bit of lashes there. Another thing I want to note of this character in particular, and it's one of the great things I think they did. They really thought out the colors of this character. Not only the form, but it looks like they've thought out the colors on how she looks from one scene or from one image to the next, probably. but it's this real subtle blue and white, and it goes into match her. The blue goes into match her eyes. Um, Bringing it up here. She's got a real soft, pinkish, light skin with this dark brown hair that almost sort of fades into the purple. Oh, I'm on the wrong layer there. Let's see here. Bring the hair around. And so let's get actually some of the skin tone going. So bring in color up. Spots to fix. Oh, I'm gonna add just a, well, crud. I keep hitting the line. There we go. Let's add the white to the eye. And let's see here. Let's go ahead and add some of this bluish teal in. Right there. She gets the same color with her eyes, so we're going to go ahead and put it in her eyes. And the same color with the apron. And it looks like the same color with the ribbon on the sleeves. So a little hint there. Go ahead and do her mouth. We'll go back over and do the lips again in a bit. We want to do the neck shadow. And a little bit of shadow under the arms there. Do some dark shadow. Let's see here. Come on. Waiting on CS Paint first. We're going to do a little bit of a dark shadow right at the tip of her nose. And actually, this is where some of the shadow right here. be in play a little bit under the ear. And let's see if they did the eyes. Typically, this is the darkest parts. So we're using a little darker tone. Just around the creases of the eyes, right around the bottom of the nose, right at the chin here. These would be your darkest spots on the body that aren't covered in clothes. Because of course, if you're covering something in clothes, it's bound to be darker. Let's add the shadow here. And I kind of want to add the hint of the knee a little bit. And then there's going to be a shadow here. Now we're going to go over and do some other little tiny shadows. So the hair is going to cause a shadow. Do a little bit of dark on the arm here. This area will be shadowed. So do I know anything about this character? I really don't. But it is the kind of character I'd like to learn more about. I would suggest, if you want to know more about this character, by all means, I would suggest hitting up KML on Instagram and being like, hey, I saw your character on Dining and Doodles being drawn. I want to know more. I like the character's look. Let me know more. If there's a comic, if there's a story, they can direct you to it. If not, then by all means, suggest the KML do it. It'd be wonderful. I always love to read some news stories from people. And if you don't even want to add a commission here or have somebody or have a piece done, just contact me just to read your story. That's fine. I'll be more than happy to read your story. If you just have an original character you just want to show off, that's fine. Send it over. I'll be happy to look into it. Part of being an artist is understanding that people like to share their work. And with it, you get to see some amazing work from other people. And it will help inspire you. I mean, a true artist keeps on learning and accepting that there are always going to be other people to learn from, be it amateurs or professionals. Some of the people that have inspired me have been either cartoonists or straight up painters. One of the things people I love to learn from was the work of motion done by Degas, a professional French impressionist. And he did his work from watching ballet and would use that in his inspirations in his work. So we're going to do shadows here, especially where the cape falls. Do a little shadow here of a chest. A little bit of a shadow on the ruffle. Same right here. This is merely to try and give it a nice outward look. And from what I can see now, I see that blue coming back just a hint right there. So actually let us just do that there, and I'm actually going to go back and do that. We're going to fix this to match. Add some texture effect here in her hair. I'd say almost do kind of like a wave there. And definitely want the darker tone on the skirt there, and we'll come back and do some more of the skirt, but let's at least do around the apron to give it sort of that add-on feel. We'll do downward there, over, downward, over. Okay. Now we have a line of blue coming in. So actually, up, back here. We'll do a little bit outward, inward. Back around. We want to make sure we get this pattern nice and neat, playing with the way they put it. Whenever you're doing patterns, it's important to stagnate it, even if you're using a template or a, what do they call them these days? Tone sheet. You want to make sure that it's not just straight following the pattern unless you want to sort of do that in a comedic sense. There is a way to do it correctly, especially with plaid. One of my favorite examples is if you look at the Monkey Island games, there's a character that wears a plaid suit, and as he moves, that's texture stays. So he can walk, and you can see the texture. He just the suit walks, but the plaid stays exactly where it was. know I'm dating myself with Monkey Island games because most people don't even know what Monkey Island games are. It was back when LucasArts did games. They weren't just a movie company, they did do some games. And in fact, one of the ways I was introduced to one of the directors of the games back when they were doing Monkey Island 3, I believe. I got introduced to the gentleman, one of the directors, and we got to talking about how the company works, how they do things. Because at the time, I was studying to go and work for them. I did not go and work for them, which is probably a good thing because after Monkey Island 3, they kind of stopped doing games altogether for the most part with LucasArts. There were a few more, I think, down the line, but they kind of came to an end. And sadly, that's what happens with companies, especially art companies. Comic companies are no different. There's a whole issue going on right now. Will Disney survive, or Marvel survive Disney? Will DC have a future in the future as far as a comic company? We don't know. And part of it is the way they run their companies. And it's, if you don't pay your artists too much, you're going to get some poorly done art. You're going to get people that are there for money and that's it. And sadly, there are companies, some notable companies out there that don't do that. And it's sad. It's very sad. That's the way their artists are treated, but it's part of the territory, sadly. So when you go into the field, just know what you're willing to do. I have no fault for somebody who wants to just do it for drawing's sake, but don't underrate yourself. Don't undersell yourself. Make sure you know how much you're worth and don't work yourself into a corner. I'm having to go through a lot of this myself because I'm currently looking for more work on a professional end. And so, I'm definitely going through and looking at my artwork and seeing where I can improve things. And at the same time, trying to attract a professional end of business. So, professional end of work. Would I go and work for the big two? Highly doubtful. I don't do their style of art. I really don't do comic books that are superhero comic books that often. And it's kind of odd saying that because Demon Blade kind of is a superhero comic, but I definitely don't match the style they look for. They have that sort of hyper realistic look, especially these days, to fantasy look of superheroes, and mine is more stylized. Does that price me out of the system? Probably. But it's just the way I am. Ah, come on. Get this spot here. There we go. Eyebrows. We're going to darken the upper lip and try and clean up some of these spots here. And we got to do her shoes. Then I want to do a quick background. clean up. And let's see what her shoes kind of look like. Okay, it looks like they have a slight blue line, sort of conforming with the whole outfit, at the bottom before they go to the white, again with the off-white for the heel. So let's go ahead and do the off-white. Off-white. Darken it a little bit. And we're going to darken the, we'll use this darker color, definitely on the heel. Then we go back with blue, because it looks like blue has got a slight line of blue along there. And we'll go that. Let's add some effect. Let's see, does she have pockets? That's another thing. In that apron. She does not. But she does have some creases. So we're going to add a little bit of creases into the apron. Add a little white spot in the eye. And I'm going to start doing some tonal differences here. So we're pouring this up. Take that down to a darker tone. Okay, I'm going to add a little bit of lines and texture in her hair. Make it kind of look alive. There's some more spots that we need to do with her hair. Definitely need to finish with that. And let's add some more to that. Just want to add some darkness and tone to the hair a little bit. And we want to add a shadow on the arm on the left. Well, right. Her right, my left. So let's add a little bit of a shadow here. And she's got some rosy cheeks, so we're going to add a little bit of an airbrush. I mean, just a little. So we just need a little. And, well, I think we're done with the character at this point. But tonight we're going to do another step. And that step was to do a quick background with this character. So, originally they had them in sort of like a field of lilac or lavender or something like that. So we're going to do maybe a little bit different. I started to draw something here. I'm not too keen on what I drew, so we're going to do, let's see if I even have a brush tip that is fitting of lavender. Not really. We do have a brush tip, though, that is fitting of grass. But I wanted to add a little bit more than just simple grass in the background. So let us go on a new layer so we don't ruin anything with the character. And I'm going to even fade the character out. Just so we can see what we're working from. Now, I want to try and do sort of hill. Oh, we're on the wrong layer here. Try and do a hill over on this side. Just a gradual sort of hill. Maybe a little flowing creek right along the side that she's coming down. Well, shoot. Let's do there. Flowing creek. I'm just barely touching the tip on the pad, so it gives me a nice thin line. And we're going to probably do a nice, let's see, textural difference here. We'll do a little bit of a cliffside appearing on this. So we want to do separation here. And we're going to erase it a little bit. And again, this all goes really well to study sort of nature. And how these sort of things, so we're doing a little cut in the land here. We're going to add a little bit of a dark tone to it. We're going to add green grass, which we're going to come back and do with a brush that I love to use. Maybe let's add a little bush over here. That's just sort of an outline. We're going to do the creek here. Maybe have a rock coming out of the water that she may be going to step on. We kind of want water to flow, so we want to let's add this for a tunnel for water. Do the darkening for the bush. On another layer, we'll do sort of a skyline, so we'll just do a flat for there. Waiting on it to come in. There we go. All right. Now we sort of have an idea of where we're going with this. So I'm going to take this apart in chunks. So one of the things I first want to do is put in grass. We're going to leave this bottom part. We know where we want our grass. So we need our brush. In this case, I use a brush on Clip Paint Studio that is called the Ghibli grass brush. And with good reason. Is if you've ever seen this sort of beautiful grass that is in Ghibli movies, the way they handle grass, the detail, the effect, this brush gives that texture to you. Let me fix something. Let's see here. Monitor. There we go. All right, so we're going to take this Ghibli brush. We're going to keep it at low for the start. So just come in and do the background. Very small. We just want to sort of follow this line that we've made for ourselves to work from. Just sort of follow in and just probably give it a little bit more. So let's go about a 95. Follow and fill it in a bit. And this gives us sort of a rough texture, but it's going to bring out and make this pop. We're just sort of filling in the texture as we go. And at a certain point, I'll change to a different size. And this is where sizing does matter. If you're working with a brush, especially in Clip Paint Studio, these brushes that give you different effects, like this Ghibli brush, you want to start out small for the further distance where it's going to fade, and you'll work your way forward. And in fact, I'm probably going to layer the fade so I can fade it off. And you'll see what I mean in a minute here. Bring that in here. And I'm still doing it right where the character is, where we're not going to see. Mainly because it's just good practice. bring that on in. And we're going to get to where we want to finish this little cliff side. And then we'll change the brush sizes, and I'm going to switch to another layer so I can fade the art. And the trick with backgrounds is always work in layers with backgrounds. All right, even that up there, bring it down to here. Next layer, we're gonna see, I already messed up. I can tell I messed up. But we can work from where we've got and we'll do fine. So we're gonna go, we'll make it about 200 on this layer. You can start to see where details are coming out. And we'll bring this out here. And I think when we get to the bush, that's when we'll do another layer. So we work our way down and another brush increase. Okay, next layer. We increase the brush. We go on up to 400 now. It may look very subtle, but as you get closer, you can definitely tell the difference. I don't think I'm going to increase it again. I think that will probably be it for the grass sizing, because I think that's probably a good size for our front foreground. But we still want to get sort of this look here. All the way down to the bottom. Now, we're going to put a layer in between. This is where I kind of screwed up, so I'm going to actually go back, fade my original background so I can see where I'm at. Fill in some spots on this other layer. With a shorter brush. And we'll do layer there. Fill it in. there. Don't be worried about overgoing the little cliff there. It's fine. We'll fix that later. The key is going to be making sure that we get the base of where our character's background's going to be. All right. Now we're going to put in another layer. This is going to be a sort of ground layer. Along the creek bed here. And we're going to do a ground layer over here. Up the cliff. A little bit of ground here. Well, we don't need it that high. We want to bring it down low. This is going to go under that layer we just drew, but we want to fill it. Now that we have that layer on, we can add some texture to that, and we're going to add some tonescaping. So we're going to add some sand looking ground here. Add some gray in, mix in. Let's add a little bit of dark gray. And now I'm actually going to do, let's deselect that. We're going to do the gray. We want to do where the creek bed's going to be, because we want to give it sort of translucent sort of water flow. We want to give a distorted look to the bottom of this creek. So we want some darker tones. Okay. And we're going to go on a new layer, and this layer needs to be right here. And we want to do sea green, because it's more of a watery color. That's going to be the basis of our water here. We have some nice little water brushes. Let's see if we can find them. Add dark, and then we'll add a light. Add a little bit more light. Let's see, let's add a dramatic light here. selection a bit. Let's get some darker tone. Put on that beach right down here where the water's hitting. Just right there. Then we're going to add a bush, and that, I think we've got this sort of pine bush texture here. We're going to do this on a separate layer. First thing you want to do when you do something like this, you want to do a black and work your way out. The reason you do that is you always want to work dark to light when you do a painting, and you're kind of doing that same effect here. So we're going to do some black here. We're almost going to completely do the full bush in black. Just want a little bit of showing, and then I'm going to bring in a darker green. Slowly bring out that bush. Slowly bringing it out. Lighter green, and as you can see, I'm doing lighter and lighter, quicker and quicker, so I can keep that black showing. But we bring in a little bit more light to the image as we pull it out. And this is probably the last light green. And since I want to do a little bit of a light contrast here, we're going to do a little harsher light here. And let's see if we got some flowers or berries or something that we can put on there. Let's do a few. Maybe a bit bigger than that. Let's see, particle size. Let's add some flowers. Let's see, I have some good flower brushes that are in here. But they're too bright for this image. They're too bright. Let's see here. What are these? Let's go with this. Oh, too much. Too big, too much particle size. Just waiting for it to save here. Come on. Come on. There we go. I don't like the flowers. I really don't. All right. We're going to do some tonal changes to the image here. So, of course, the character would cast a shadow. Same with the bush here. So one of the things we're going to do, now that we have a new layer, we're going to add a bit of a shadow under both. And we're just doing a black, and we'll do a layer change to this black to try and get an effect a little bit better. We want to try and sort of mimic a little bit of what she looks like in the artwork. So now we'll do color burn. Maybe no, let's do overlay. Not so much an overlay. Hard light. There we go. All right. Now, like I said, we were going to do sort of a fade. So one of the things I want to do is between each layer of grass, we're going to add just a light haze. And we're going to fade this off. So this is going to be the back layer. And there's a layer between those. This needs to be able to cover the creek beds here so it's not obscured. What we'll do is we lightly fade. So we lower that to about 26 occupancy. Another 26. And it gives that sort of distance fading image, which is what you'd get in a real world scenario. And now we need to do that little area that we were doing of a cliff. And we want to do that in darker tone. This little cliff area. Just to give it a little bit of feel and texture. So we're going to add some shadow. I'm just going to roughly sketch in. That's all you really need to do. You can just use any kind of brush, any kind of tin. But whenever you're doing ground, it's usually going to be a rougher point. There's no real solids. You kind of darken shadow and then you work your way in and out using your text lighters and darker spots. So Let's do a little bit of light on that spot. And let's bring our girl in. Full color. And let's take our creek. Go one more layer. Let's add a touch of silver reflection to it. So give sort of a faded reflection. This I would do lighten. And I think we are done at this point. I could go into more detail with the character, give her some darker tones with her hair, but it was kind of a flattened tone to begin with. We wanted to do just sort of a quick background on this. As you saw, this background came together in about half an hour. You don't have to do great detail into a background, especially if you're doing comic work. I know I'll do a comic stream in a few weeks just to go through it, but this is a good start off point for doing such a drawing like this. I know I wanted to do a stone real quick. I have one tool that can make a stone in a flash for me. And that is a tool that will literally create rocks. So let's go with a larger particle size. And there we go. We've got a nice stone brick. Sort of fits in with it, or stone rock in there. And it gives us a nice flow with this image. So I hope you all enjoyed this. This was a nice little change up. Next week, I am not sure what we are doing. I've got a couple submissions suggested, but at the moment, I do not know what's coming up next week. But we will be here again next week with a whole new Dining and Doodles. So I'll come in and join me. It'll be a wonderful experience. Now, before we go, we have our sponsor, Built Bars. I had a wonderful mint chocolate brownie flavor, which is this one right here. It is a delicious, absolutely wonderful treat to eat those. I use them as a meal replacement. So that was my lunch today. Was literally one of those bars. It is low calorie, low carb, low sugar, high protein, keto friendly, and they focus on taste. These bars are designed to taste good because you don't want to eat something that tastes like a couch cushion. So this is a great replacement for protein bars, a great replacement for candy bars because of its wonderful stats. They are now an Olympic sponsor of the field and track team. So go to built.com and use the promo code EmbryArts and get 10% off your order and have a delicious treat with Built Bars. And thank you for y'all all for coming in today and watching. I hope you all enjoyed the OC. If you have a request, as always, come on, drop by and give me a request through any means of messages. We will be more than happy to draw. Please visit our store. Please check out our comicdemonblade.com throughout the internet, and go to our Patreon page if you'd like to sponsor us by going to patreon.com/demonblade, and you will be able to sponsor us and even get requests done without having to do the streams. You can get full-on comic requests that way. So drop on by, give us a message, give a like, subscribe, tune into this video, share the video, and I look forward to seeing you all next week when we bring out a new Dining and Doodles. And I don't know what we'll cover, but we'll make it eventful. See you next time.